I will continue with definition of audit. Audit is done against a specified criteria. So the audit criteria is where the requirements are contained. It could be the ISO standards. For us here, we'll have ISO 9001 as one of our main audit criteria. It could be industry code of practice if it is there. Service level agreement, especially when you're auditing a supplier. Maybe you want to see what did you agree with the company. Then you go out to audit to see whether they are in line with what you had agreed. Could be a procedure, a manual, yeah, that will be also another audit criteria for us. You look at the SOP manual of the process you're auditing, that will be one of another audit criteria, or a combination thereof. So audit criteria is what you're auditing against. Audit evidence that you're going to look for as you go to audits, maybe records that you'll find in the process, or statements of fact that you'll be told as you interview. Those are audit evidence. But it has to be relevant to the audit criteria. So it's very important to know what audit criteria are you basing your audit on. You have to be within that scope. Audit evidence usually are verifiable. If it's a list of parties that attendance, it's there. So anytime you want, after the audit, you can still go and you can verify it is there. Receipts of paid claim, those are verifiable. And they are records, they are facts. Okay, are we together? Medical checkup, vehicle checkup, court proceedings are examples of undertakings that exhibit some characteristics of an audit. Yeah, for a medical checkup, just like any other audit, the doctor is the auditor. You go there as the one being audited. They'll check against their criteria, what is required for a normal human being. Like this time of corona virus, and I'm glad that all of you look very healthy. But if you go for the tests, it will be like an audit. And they will take the temperature, there are those other things that they measure. Then they will compare with what they have found out. And they will come up with a conclusion. Are you okay, or do you have to be taken to the quarantine? So it's that comparison. So I want you to see audit as a normal thing that happens. Vehicle checkup, when you take a vehicle for service or checkup, there is a risk that the mechanic will have of what is expected in that vehicle. Then you look at the vehicle, check on it, and compare. If it will not be complying, maybe you need to change some parts. At times, you can be told it's okay, the vehicle is good, go on with your journey. A court proceedings, so where the judge, and this time as an auditor, you act like a judge. You'll ask for evidence. And if the evidence shows that there was a crime that was committed, then you know what to do. But based on the evidence, maybe if there are no evidence, you will not be able to take the person to court or to jail. So especially in court proceedings, evidence is very important. Also to the peace quality management systems audit, you have to come up with evidence. You can't just tell us the process is complying and you can't give us evidence to show that. Or you can't tell us there are so many non-conformities. Then when we ask you for the evidence, you don't have the evidence to support that. So it should not be like that. We are in slide number 6. We are still familiarizing ourselves with audits, introduction. So there is various audit types and laws. When we talk of first party internal audit, or first-party audit, that is referred as an internal audit, where you audit your own organization. And that is what will happen once you have been trained. You'll audit your own organization. What will happen is that you not audit your own process, but you are the people, the staff of IAA who will audit. That's called first party. Second party is where you can decide to go and audit your supplier, the mechanics or the garages. If it happens like that, if we feel that we need you to go there, we refer that as second party. And that is external because you are going to an external customer. Third party, it's where an external auditor will come and audit our organization. Primarily, or the purpose may be for certification purposes, and that's what will happen after we have done our internal audit. We'll call the outside body to also come and audit us. That will be third party, and it's external. So they do certifications. Certification is usually valid for 3 years, but every year they'll be coming for surveillance audits. That's still that party. After 3 years have elapsed, they'll do a recertification, which is third party. Still third party, but that will be the circle of external audits. So first party, internal audits, where we audit our own organization. Second party, we are going to audit our suppliers outside there. Third party is where external body come to audit us for the sake of certification. First and second party can be done by external auditor on behalf of the organization. There are still that is can happen. Instead of you auditing your own organization, you can call somebody outside there to come and do an internal audit on your behalf. But in most cases, you'll be the people to audit, and that is first party. Even second party, you can give somebody like me a job to go and audit your garages, but I'm not sourcing for business here. So that will still be second party, but done by external person. So let's not confuse between those three. I'll take you through the internal audit training again. I mean the timetable. Overall course objectives. By the end of this training, we want to build capacity for conducting ISO 9001 2015 quality management system. Remember, that is a system that we have established in our organization. We did the awareness, we did the documentation training. We have come up with various manuals. So today we are training on how to audit that system to ensure that it is compliant with the requirements of ISO 9001 and that it's effective, it's working for us. So it's a we are training to build capacity for value adding and risk-based internal audit by imparting the necessary skills based on that standard written there 19011. So there is a guideline standard for auditing, and this training will be based on that very standard 19011. You don't need to know much about it, but the training materials have been made or designed in line with that standard. So that is our main overall course objectives. At the end of this training, if we are not able to meet that course objectives, let us know, because we will not have done what we are supposed to do. Now, session 1 is about introduction to audit, where we first want to define the term audit and also explain what an audit process is all about. By definition, as per that standard I've told you about, audit is defined as a systematic, independent, and documented process for obtaining audit evidence and evaluating it objectively to determine the extent to which audit criteria are fulfilled. So we are trying to define an audit. In very simple terms, It's where you gather evidence. You go out there, maybe a HR process, you look at how it has been documented, there are procedures on how they recruit, procedures on process, performance evaluation, and you gather evidence. And you can gather evidence through many means, maybe by asking questions or reading or going through some of those documents. And you do it in a systematic way. Then you compare the evidence that you have obtained with the specific audit criteria. So on one side, you have the evidence, on the other side, you have the criteria that you are comparing against. And we'll define those terms later on. Once you compare the two, you come up with audit conclusions. And audit conclusion mainly can indicate conformance or non-conformance. So once you have gone through the process, you have looked at the information that is there, you compare it with what is expected, which is the audit criteria. At the end, you'll come up with a conclusion. You can state yes. For the audit, it has to be systematic. There is a procedure on how you do it. Don't just rise up one day and start doing the audit. It's not like any other inspection, it's an audit. It has to be independent. You cannot audit your own work. If you are the procurement manager, when it comes to auditing procurement, we can't send you to audit procurement. You'll go maybe to another process, underwriting. It has to be dependent. And it's just evaluating the evidence against the criteria. To conduct an audit, one is required to have the necessary competence, yes, for you to become an auditor. And that is what we hope you to attain by the end of these 2 days. You have to have the necessary competence. How do you achieve this competence? It's through training, like what we are doing today. But that has to be followed by skills and experience. You have to keep on training yourself. Practicing so that you get skills and experience. It's just like going for a swimming lesson. You don't just stop at theory, you need to keep on practicing. You need to understand the relevant audit criteria. So for you to become a good auditor, you need first to understand the audit criteria that you're going to use. For us, the audit criteria will be mostly ISO 9001. So if you don't understand it, you cannot be able to do an audit. Because how can you compare the two when you are not understanding even the audit criteria? You can have even the evidence, but you don't know what the audit criteria says. Just the same way, you can be, if you are asked to audit, if maybe such kind of a thing exists, to audit a Christian and know whether they are true Christians, you need to know the Bible. Then you compare with the evidence, with their practice. But if that is not the case, it becomes very hard. Or maybe a Muslim. If you want to audit a Muslim, you need to know what does the Quran say. If you don't know, you need even to disqualify yourself. You can't be able to audit. So we move on to, you need to have a general understanding of the sector or the process you are auditing. We don't mean you must have a specific and you don't have to be an expert in that area, but at least you have to have a general understanding. If you are going to audit IT, we don't expect you to be an IT expert, but at least try to understand what IT is all about. And there is a lot of information out there through the website, through the documented SOP. If you can ask for the SOP, you can read through and see what goes on there. So you need to have a general understanding. Still, for you to become an auditor, a good auditor, you have to adhere to audit principles and auditor personal attributes, which we are going to look at in the slides that are following. Then you need to understand the audit stages, which are covered in our course contents. Where do you start to where do you end? So in bracket there, adherence to above points should result to auditors working independently from one another to reach similar conclusion in similar circumstances. So if all of us are competent, we would expect that if auditor A goes to audit underwriting, let's say maybe next week on Wednesday, the results or the conclusion that that auditor will make, let's say he'll come up with, he or she will come up with 10 nonconformity. We expect if we send auditor B, maybe at the same time after this other auditor, he or she just goes and audit. We expect that the nonconformity, if the first auditor came up with 10, auditor B should come up with maybe 8. It may not be exact, but 8, 7 there, or 11. But we don't want a situation where auditor A comes up with 13 nonconformities in a process, but if you send auditor B just at the same time, almost with the same circumstances, comes with 0 nonconformity. So we need to be calibrated as auditors. We need to have the competence that is required. We need to understand, we have to have the same level of understanding of the audit criteria. And we need to adhere to those principles. So that is very important, so that, remember, we as an auditor will be used as a measuring equipment. So we send you to underwriting, measure for us, tell us, is it working? How many, are there issues? But all of us have to be able to measure the same way, even if it's not exactly the same way. Just like a weighing scale, it doesn't matter whether it's a digital weighing scale or analog, but if it is a 1 kg sugar, when you put it in the analog and in the digital, it should show you 5. That's why we need such kind of a training, so that we can have the same reasoning and approach when it comes to audit. We are still at the introduction to audit, where we are saying that a QMS audit can result to the following impacts to a process or area. So once you go to audit a process, you can either go and add value. I mean, you come up with issues that once they are addressed, the process achieves improvement. And that is what we are looking for. Remember, our overall objectives was to add value. However, times you can go, or depending on the maturity of the auditor or the approach of the auditor, you can go there and add no value. The process remains the same as you found it. But that is not our expectation. Would wish you go and add value. But something that can happen is to go and subtract value. You go to a process and you leave it worse than you found it. Hey, that's very bad. You confuse them more. You might go there. There are some very good things they are doing. Then after your audit, you are recommending some changes which, instead of adding value, they subtract value to the process, which is very bad. So you'd want an audit where you are adding value. This mainly depends on the auditor and the audit approach. Auditors should always aim at adding value to the process. Area B, that is our main aim. When we are going to audit and we look at this, we are not going to catch a thief. We are going there to improve the process. Now, there is a discussion here, and I would want to hear from you people. Hey, it looks so silent here. I'm just alone here. Discuss how a medical checkup or a vehicle servicing can result to the above, adding value, adding no value, subtracting value. So imagine you go for a medical checkup. So we say they also exhibit characteristic of an audit. There is a way a doctor can add value, or add no value, or subtract no value.
So I think how a medical checkup can add value is, I think when you go and then maybe they check you and then they find you're dehydrated. And so the doctor ends up recommends that going forward you should consider adding a hydration program to your diet.
I think taking the vehicle for servicing.
Yes.
If you had, say, a check engine or some noise within the vehicle,
yes,
guys are able to diagnose and come up with solutions that either get rid of the noise or remove the check engine. For me, I think that is an additional value.
They can also subtract value by diagnosing the wrong thing. They are not sure what the problem is, but they won't tell you, so they go fixing something that doesn't need fixing, so they make it worse.
We have to interact again here. So the case study is about an auditing. You are auditing the registry section. The auditor notes that the rodents had damaged 6 out of 200 files, policy folders files. So those are hard copies stored in the registry area, shelf number 15. At the same time, the auditor realized that 3 of the damaged files had been included in the documents that were to be discharged to the head office. So maybe there was a request for those files. Based on the information provided above, what or who would you attribute to be the main cause of the problem? And you have choices there. Let me remove this. I'm only alone here at the boardroom. There's nobody.
Okay.
Whatever. So A, the company quality management systems, the person in charge of registry section, files dispatch team, none of the above, no one to attribute the cost to, or all of the above. But you need to justify your answer before you go to question 2. So this is a situation where the registry, and you know in the registry we have many files put there maybe in shelves, and rodents have gotten in and they have damaged some, 6 out of 200 policy folders files. At the same time, the auditor realized that 3 of the damaged files were to be dispatched the way they are. So who will you blame or attribute to be the main cause of the problem?
I would go with all of the above.
All of the above. Okay.
Yes.
Systems, person in charge, file dispatch. Okay, up to you. Anybody else? That is Mr. Mutedia.
Yeah.
Okay, let's hear from any other person. So Mr. Mutedia will go for B.
For E, all of the above.
Oh, sorry, for E, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, let's hear from the others.
Can I give a reason?
Wait for
Can I give a reason or
wait for the reason
Sorry?
you give us later on. You'll give us a reason later on. Let's hear from any other participants. Bwana Isaac Muturi.
Hello.
Hello, Nicholas.
Yeah, yes, I'll go for A, company quality management system.
Okay, good. Let's hear for any other. We'll go for B or C. We have no one or D. Let's hear.
I would go for file dispatch team.
Okay, that is Dennis files dispatch team. Okay, no problem. Give you a reason later on. Josephine, what will you go for? Who would you attribute to be the main cause? Or the rest of the team? Who else want to share? No one will go for the person in charge of registry? Justin? A, B, C, D.
I would go for B. B.
Okay, the person in charge of registry. Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, we'll give you a reason later on.
I would also.
I
would also go for B. I'll
B.
also go for B because that's his department.
Okay, so we have more B than any other. Okay, Isaac. We are waiting for Isaac Moturi. Okay, let's just go on. So, starting with Mr. Mutevia, you mentioned you go for all of the above.
Yes.
Yes, why?
Want
to blame everybody. Okay.
I would say all the above because I would not entirely blame it on the guys in the registry. Because I'm assuming it's a situation where guys in the registry probably reported to the top management that there's an issue of rodents within the building or within the section. So if guys who are required to look into the matter didn't actually check it out, then I wouldn't entirely blame it on the guys in the registry because it's a process or which depends on another process for it to be complete. That's my thinking.
No problem. Thank you for that. Josephine, you want to say something?
Okay, I would blame it entirely on the person in charge of the registry section because I would assume that his office is near the registry, so he goes in and out and probably has seen those rodents moving up and down. And it's up to the registry, the person in charge, to notify the quality management team.
Okay. There was somebody who will go for the, Mr. Dennis who went for files dispatch.
Token 18, please proceed to cash counter 1.
Josephine, mute your mic.
Okay, you have Wanjira online?
I said B.
Yes.
Okay, fine.
You said,
I said B.
Yeah, and you supported.
Yeah.
So let's have somebody.
Yes, because
Nicholas, what? Let's have Dennis.
So I had said the file dispatch team. I would like to retract and say the person in charge of registry, because they shouldn't be allowing damaged files to be dispatched.
Oh, you have changed your mind, eh?
Yeah. So in my view, they shouldn't even be allowing the file dispatch team to be taking damaged files for dispatch.
Okay.
So it solely rests to them.
Okay, but not A.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the person in charge of registry.
Okay. B. Who else want to
support my answer?
Yes. What was your answer?
Yeah.
What was your answer?
My answer was A.
Okay, yes, support.
In this case, there are several people or the parties that are involved.
Yes.
One is the person who is in charge of pest control in the company. There is discharge team, and also the leaders and the person who took the file, who received the file, the damaged file. That's why I'm saying it is a problem with the company quality management system because it is involving several parties. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Nicholas. Are the rest changing their mind to what Nicholas has said? Or you are
I
still
think mine basically touches on all the points that Nicholas has talked about. That's why I said all the above.
all of the above?
Yeah,
Okay.
apart from the none of the above.
Remember the question is the main. We are not looking at the causes or the factors. We are looking at the main factor. You know, for you to solve a problem, it's good
Yeah.
to be able to be a bit specific, so that you know who am I going to handle. So here in here we are looking at the main.
Main.
Yes. So if we are looking considering the main, which one will you go for there? Okay.
I still go for A.
For A. Yes.
Yes.
And Mutia will go for what? After considering all the main cause.
I'd go for the company quality management system.
Okay, that's good. Dennis and the rest of the team, are you convinced that it's the system?
Thank you, Mataida, for joining me.
Yes.
We will not be swayed.
You not?
We will not be swayed. We are here to stay till 2022.
You'll die with the answer, huh? Okay. Yeah, very good. And the way you have justified your answer. Just like I think Nicholas has said, we are looking at the main cause and you want to solve this problem. Let's look at it. If there was a very effective quality management systems, it will ensure that, like I don't know, Mutedia said, they'll have engaged a reputable pest control firm to ensure that rodents are there. So in their maybe even risk assessment, they will have determined that if the system is there for having somebody to be contracted with pest control service provider, if the system is good enough, maybe there will be a checklist where they keep on checking the stores. Yeah, you can pass through there, but if the system is not asking you maybe to highlight those kind of things, you can easily miss them out. If they are very good checklists to go and look at the storage areas, if they are a good system to ensure that when you are dispatching the files out there, you first check and see, are they meeting the requirements? Will they be able to serve the purpose for the other side? So normally, yes, the person in charge of registry, they have their role to play, I believe, even the files dispatch. But the main cause of the problem maybe would be there are no good systems that have been put in place in the company or in the registry area to ensure that these kind of things don't happen. And we are building on this subject of internal audit, whereby as you go out to audit, look at the system. You're auditing the system. You're not auditing the files dispatch team. You're not auditing any person. You're not auditing an individual. In most cases, you're looking at the system. And that is a starting point, the system. Yeah, later on, we can zero in and find, yeah, here you did not do this and that. But is the system there? And from that question, we are not told about any system that is there. So I believe, yeah, I know we can debate about it, but A should be the main cause of the problem there, the system. And that's why we need to build very good systems in our companies, in our processes. Most of the staffs will just follow what is there. Just provided you give them system, this is the way things are done. They will follow. Like this dispatch team, maybe they are very junior officers there. But for them, they are told, go pick these files, take them there. They do exactly that. But if you have system and tell them this is a checklist before you do this, check on this, they will also do that. provided they are given direction and policies and procedures. And in most even the issues that face even our country or even our organization, mostly is the policies that are lacking. Procedures, there's no system, but mistakes happen, then we start blaming one another. So what we need to look at is to build system, and when you go out to audit, try first to focus on the system, not an individual, not on who did this, who did not do this, why was it not done? Maybe the policy is not there, maybe there is no procedure which states how things to be done. Maybe there is no that outsourced even process, they don't know whether they need it. Yeah, because of time we have to move. Now, what risk could have been overlooked in this process to cause the problems to occur? Remember, we mentioned that we want to build capacity for conducting value adding and risk-based approach, risk-based auditing. So as you audit, you come up with that kind of evidence. You as an auditor, you want to ask what risk, maybe there is a risk they have not considered in their maybe even risk register, which have caused this to happen. So what risk do you think maybe could have been overlooked? Because in our quality management systems, we want a system where we are looking at the risks that could be there, we anticipate them, we identify them, then we put in preventive measures. So in this situation, in this case studies, what risk do you think could have been overlooked to cause these things to happen? Anybody? Yes? Have I lost you?
No. We can hear you.
Okay, thank you.
I think one. Yeah, so I think one risk that may have been overlooked would be the risk of maybe the file dispatch team dispatching damaged files.
Yes. Yes.
So that is so the risk of the files dispatch team dispatching damaged files before.
Yes.
Before it's approved.
Before, the approval now, the approval process before the files are.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Maybe
dispatched.
It's not part of what they determine as important. Yeah. Good. The approval.
Yeah.
Okay. Somebody else. What other risk could have been overlooked?
Oh, and by the way.
Yes.
Well done, Nicholas, for the previous answer. I think now when I look at it, it makes a lot of sense.
Oh, good. So we can clap for Nicholas. That emoji is there, but Nicholas, congratulate you for that also. Thank you. Somebody else, what risk? What other risk? Things happen because some risks have not been identified, they have not been taken care of. So once in a while, you find things going haywire. So what could have not been overlooked? What could have been overlooked?
I think Nicholas had mentioned pest control.
Good.
So that could be an oversight, and eventually could end up causing more damage to even more files, I think.
True. So it could be in their risk assessment, they did not consider pests as an issue in their storage area. So so thank you very much. Yeah, it could be that. Pest control, engaging a pest control service provider, it was not considered as important. Now things are any other? Yes, we have those two. And I would like to know, Mr. Isaac Muturi, are you in your laptop? Are we together? Are you in your phone? I can see you are part of participants, but I'm not heard from you. Or you are a silent listener? I don't know.
But
Yeah.
I'm listening. I'm following.
Oh, good. So, what is your comment on that?
As Nicholas has said, also me I would support with A because I believe the reason the files are in the registry in the first place is to take care of them. So I don't expect any damaged file to be found in the registry. So any risks that could have been ignored, I would say. Let me rephrase it.
Yeah, but you have a point. Let's see, you have a point.
I don't expect the files to be damaged in the registry. I don't know which risk I can say from there, but as the fact that they are in the registry, I think they should be in good form.
If the necessary risks have been addressed and measures have been taken.
Yes, that I believe that's the essence why the registry is there in the first place.
Yeah. Imagine even maybe the roof is leaking, so can be rained on. But in here we are told there are rodents there. So for the rodents to be there is something that have not been addressed. Okay, thank you very much for sharing. So in this case study, as we build on the subject today and the training, one thing that's coming up is that we need to look at the system mostly. Systems are the ones which have issues before we go down to look at the nitty-gritties. But as a good auditor, we not just stop at just indicating what the problem is. We'll also try to look and see what risk could have been overlooked. So you can go a step further and ask for the risk registers and see is a pest control issue in the risk register, or the approval. Is there a need to approve? Is there a need even to look at the competence of this dispatch team? Are they competent enough to do that kind of work? So those kind of issues should be there. Then they should be addressed and it will help to make the system effective and to deliver. Another thing I would want you to look at, but we'll discuss it later on, it's how the finding or the description of the issue have been described. This auditor is very specific. The number of files damaged, there are 6 out of 200. So this person took time to 6 out of 200. They are stored in registry shelf number 15. So if you are to address this problem, it will be very easy because you know exactly which shelf, how many. And this also shows that this auditor was at the site. You know, there are others who audit virtually. Yeah? Training we are doing virtually, but auditing you can't. I don't think by auditing you'll do it virtually. You need to be there. From what the report will read, you can tell whether that auditor went to the site or not. You know, like here, the 6 out of the shelf number 15. That is a kind of reporting would want, which is specific. The auditor realized that 3 of the damaged files had been included. So he's a thorough auditor and is very specific. And that is what we would expect later on. Welcome back. Hope you had a cup of tea. For me, I'm well taken care of here. So we are in slide number 10. Still at the introduction of audit. It's very important because we are laying a good foundations for the rest of what we'll be discussing. So it's about characteristic of value-adding auditors versus value-adding, non-value-adding auditors. So you always come across either an auditor is adding value or is a non-value-adding auditor. So let's look at the main characteristics of these 2 auditors. But remember, we want our intention is to have a value-adding auditors. So on one side, the value-adding auditors, the auditor goal mindset is process improvement, continuous improvement of the organization. So as you go out to audit, your main goal or mindset you are asking yourself, how can I improve that process? How can I add value? How can I make it better than I found it? However, for the non-value adding auditors, the auditor goal mindset is to look for mistakes. So you've already put it in your mind that you are going to look for mistakes. So you are very much ready to go and look for mistakes. And if you don't find mistakes, you are very sad because you know you are going to look for mistakes. But in our quality management system audit, remember it's a quality management system audit. It's not a fraud audit. It's not any other kind of audit. In here, we are looking at improving our organization, not looking for mistakes. Yeah, once in a while you find mistakes, no problem, but that was not your main goal. And you'll highlight them. Once we address those mistakes, we improve, but that is not your main goal. Your main goal is to process improvement, continue improvement. Still at the non-value adding auditors' goal is looking for mistakes and conformities. And if you don't come up with them, you leave that place very sad. Yeah? No, it's like policemen. They stop you, and it's like their main goal is to find that you have a problem. The insurance is not renewed, what. If they don't find that, times they are not happy. If they find those issues, they are happy and they know now how to handle you. Non-value adding auditors value a fault finding mission. You have gone out to, your mindset is to find faults, and that is the mission that you want to accomplish. But that is an non-value adding auditor. The next one is for value adding auditors, the main focus is to check on adequacy of process management and comprehensive risk identification, risk actions effectiveness, and achievement of set targets process performance. So this auditor is looking at the bigger picture. The process, how is it well managed? Is the risk comprehensively, identified? Like from the case study, you want also to go and see what could have been missing here. Maybe the risk have been identified, but are the actions effective? And going to an organization, yes, they have a pest control provider, but still you can see that there are rodents roaming up and down. So the actions are not effective. Though they have determined that, yeah, pests could be here, they have put in place a preventive measures, engaging a pest control provider, but still files are being damaged. So you'll be able to see, no, then the action is there, but it's not effective. And also the other thing that we look at is the achievement of set targets. Each process will have targets. And really we want to see, yeah, if underwriting target was this, have they achieved? That's what your main focus. Because they can follow each and every procedure A to Z, but they are not meeting their targets. If they are not meeting their targets, how is it helping us? The procedures. The procedures should be secondary. But the primary is a process well managed? Is a risk well identified? Are they effective? Are the targets there, and are they meeting the targets? For non-value adding auditors, they focus on individuals. The dispatch team, the department, the registry, not the overall system. So if you focus on individuals, you will not be able to add value as much as if you had focused on the overall system, the quality management system. Only check compliance to documented procedures and manuals. Yeah, just show up, show me the procedure manual. They start step 1, step 2. Have you been following this? Yes. Just compliance to documented procedures. Compliance is good, but more than that, we want achievement of set targets. You can comply A to Z, but you're not achieving your targets. So we need to look at it in the bigger picture. We are looking at the process. We are looking at the targets. And you see these in the checklist that we'll come up with. Our main concerns will be first, the high level things before we go to the nitty-gritties. Auditors are perceived as resource tools for initiating improvement within the organization. So if you have a value-adding auditors, even your perception in the organization will be seen as people who can initiate improvement. They are resource tools. On the other side, non-value-adding auditors are perceived as a bother, troublemakers, policemen, witch hunters, and all kinds of names that you can give them. You're not seeing the value that they are adding. Yes, they are there, they are auditing, but when an audit comes, it's like they are coming to bother you, they are coming to trouble you, they are policemen. Yeah, they are not adding value. Auditors can be called upon in value-adding auditors to assist to identify areas for improvement of problem solving, even before the planned audit schedule. And value auditors are avoided at all costs. If you can, if there is a way to avoid them, you avoid for that audit, because for you, it is not adding any value. Auditing perceived as a waste of time. Yeah, people perceive and see that this is a waste of time. And this is a challenge for all of us auditors, even those of us who have been in auditing for a long time. Are we seen as resource, or are we seen as people who can solve problem or bring improvement? Times we are seen like we waste time. We are just doing it because for the sake of it. We avoid it, and that should not be the cause. That is a challenge to all of us. We need to be in a situation where even a process owner can ask Dennis or the project manager, please send me the auditors. There are some issues that are disturbing me here. Let them come and audit and see what is not working out here. But if you are an unvalue auditor, no one will even bother you. You'll just come because the top have said an audit has to be done. But value-adding auditors, and with the time, people will know you, whether you are a value-adding auditor or you are an unvalue-adding auditor. It comes out. But what we are looking for is people who can go out, ask relevant questions, get good evidence, do a conclusion based on the audit criteria, and improve that process. If there was a linking up, if there was a risk that had not been addressed, after your audit, we get to know. Maybe we update the procedure, maybe we put up a checklist for approval that was not there, which will prevent now those kind of issues coming. But these other value-adding auditors, some want to go to, maybe they perceive one as an enemy, so they want to go and raise all kind of issues, irrelevant issues that are not verifiable, no evidence. That's not what we are looking for. Let's also look at the number 11. Sorry. Want to go to slide 11. Now, we were looking at the value-adding auditor. Still, we can also look at the value-adding audits and non-value-adding audits. As an exercise that is done, an audit, is it done to add value to the organization, or it's an non-value-adding audit? So on one side, conducted for improvement purposes. So we do these audits, and we should be doing this audit so that we can improve ourselves. Otherwise, still we can do the audits, but non-value-adding audits where they are conducted because external auditors are about to come in order to show compliance. And that is a big temptation that we fall into. So you are just doing it because there is an external auditor, so that they can find the report has been done, everything is there, so that you can be ticked or given a certificate. Done as a ritual, and because ISO standards require internal audits to be done. Because the ISO requires it, that's why you are doing it. But it should be where we are doing it because we want to improve our processes. It's for our own purposes. It's not for the external auditor. The external auditor will come, do the audit and be paid. But have we added value to our organization? The other side, value-adding audits are taken in a risk-based thinking approach. what risks are missing out. Adequacy in risk identification. Remember, we did process risk identification. So is it adequate? Identifying any existing gaps in risk identification. Adequacy of controls, approvals, and all that, and the effectiveness of those controls and action. That is the main focus of that kind of an audit. However, on the contrary, the non-value adding audits approach is just to generate internal audit reports for filing. So you have been given a job, you are an auditor, go, whatever you are going to do a report, we file it. External auditor come, oh, there is a report here, okay. But that will not be doing good to ourselves. We have invested a lot, even in these projects. We continue to invest more, and we need to get value of what we have invested. So it's better we do audits for internal improvement, not just as a ritual, not just to comply. We need to go ahead of that. And that is a challenge to all of us. So that is all to do with session 1. Session 1 was just to define the term audit, which we defined as an independent process, a systematic process. And we have also explained the audit process, the value-adding audits, what you need to look at, and so forth. So I think we are good to go. That was session 1. We are now to change gears and go to overview of ISO 9001:2015. Any questions from the session 1 before we go to session 2, or any comments, any feedback? Want to move to another session? Feel we are building foundations to internal auditing. I hope by now can at least explain what an audit is all about, can explain about value-adding audits and value-adding audits and value-adding audits and value-adding auditors and value-adding auditors. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Somebody want to?
I think you should.
Yes, Isaac. Yes, waiting for any feedback.
Feedback from the team, guys?
Hello.
Was the session clear? Yeah.
I joined rather late, but I'll try to catch up. This is Mungai Moses.
Okay. Welcome.
Yes.
Samuel.
Yes, please.
The advantage with Moses is the internal auditor. So he should be already familiar with the process of audit in terms of the foundations. In fact, I believe he's ahead of us.
Yes.
He's ahead of us now. Maybe now when we're going to the audit criteria specifically for 9001.
Yes.
I think he's joined us at a good point.
No problem. No problem. Welcome.
Yeah.
Okay. So we want to move to session 2, where we want to take some time to look at the main audit criteria that we're going to use. Remember what we mentioned as we started, that to become a good auditor, you have to understand the audit criteria. We did this when we were doing the awareness of ISO 9001. So it's just reminding ourselves. And we are now focusing on audit. If it's a requirement, what will you be looking at? Do you have the standards with you? Did Dennis buy the standard for the company, or what do you use? Dennis, do you have ISO 9000 with us?
Yes, we have ISO 9001. I think I've just not done copies because it was not the copies that we had bought from It's just a copy that I had gotten from the internet. So that's why I was a bit hesitant to make copies of that.
But you can even circulate it by email.
Okay, okay.
You show me.
I'll do that. I'll do that immediately.
Okay. No problem. That will be your Bible from now henceforth, or a Quran. You need to know it in and out. Because if you are going to audit against it, hey, you need to know what is inside there. Otherwise, you'll not be able to do a good value-adding audit. So as you can remember from our awareness, there are 10 main clauses or chapters. One is about scope. There is normative reference, terms and definitions, context of the organization, leadership, planning, support, operations, performance, evaluation, and improvement. There are 10, but requirements start from clause 4 to 5. The requirements that an organization needs to fulfill in order to claim that it is compliant with this ISO 9001. Yeah, the first 3, the scope, just will describe what the standard is all about, where it applies, normative reference, any other document that has been used to compile the document, terms and definitions. Yeah, although terms and definitions, they have not even provided them there. They refer you to another standard called ISO 9000 without a 1 at the end. That's where the definitions are defined. So any manual, any booklet will start like that. But from 4 to 10, there are requirements. If you want to claim your ISO 9001 certified, you have to fulfill the requirements within the context of the organization. Leadership, planning, support, operation. And that is when you can be audited and certified. So we look at those requirements. Like the first is to do with context of the organization. We talked about this. You need to understand the context of the organization, the context of the IAA. Which business are we in? Who do we deal with? What are our internal and external issues? So it's just understanding the organization, because that is a starting point. You understand the organization before you even talk about the customer and how to fulfill their requirements. So in understanding the organization, the context of the organization, the requirement title is, I'm not going to details, but now once the standard is circulated to you people, you can read the other details inside there. But it talks about understanding the organization and its context. The second column is to help you understand that requirement. Why is it there? Why is it necessary? What is the rationale of having that requirement there? And we did this in the awareness. Yeah, understanding organizational purpose, the environment it operates in is the first step in good planning of the organization. That's where it starts. So that is where it is. That is why the requirements and the sub-clauses, which provide more requirements about it, is there. You need to understand your purpose. You need to understand your missions. That's where missions comes in. You need to understand yourself. Then you can plan on how to fulfill your objectives. Now, if you are auditing these requirements, I've given you some hints of what you need to see, some evidence that you would expect. It's not only this, but these could be the main ones that you would expect to see for an organization where they have defined themselves and the organization context has been well described. One of the evidence could be a company profile. Remember, we are training you not only to audit IAA. Maybe in future you'll find yourself even auditing other organizations, Tata International. I mean, you are taken to even another insurance firm. So if you are looking at it, maybe if you are asked when you audit, they give you just company profile. Maybe from that company profile, you can now be able to tell They'll describe themselves, what they do, their services, who they serve, who they don't serve. Yeah, that could be one. Or a strategic even plan. Strategic plan, especially the first part, they start by describing themselves, internal factors, external, the industry, the market, the competition. So that's a very important document. Even in IAA, I've been insisting that we need to have a very elaborate strategic plan, which we have, which is taking us, I think, to 2023 or 2022. Dennis, if you can confirm, our strategic plan is from which year to which year?
To 2022, so it's a 3-year plan.
Okay, a 3-year plan. So it's a very
2022.
Okay. So in that document, you can be able to see how the organization has been described, a SWOT analysis, which most cases it's contained in the strategic plan, having mission, vision, value statements. Those are some of the evidence. If you see them and you look at them, yeah, they can show the organization has understood its context. If none of them are there, yeah, that is something to worry about. But maybe, with these standards, it does not give you the exact things to do. You do not even see company profile anywhere, strategic plan. But it's for you to see how well can I address this requirement. So there could be a SHARP or some other organization, they have their own other ways. But generally, that's what you should expect to see. Then there is 4.2, understanding the needs and expectation of relevant interested parties. The standard, the ISO 9000 requires you to understand the needs and the expectation of relevant interested parties. So you define who are your interested parties, what are their needs and expectations, because that is a starting point. You're building on how to fulfill these requirements. So understand them. Rationale, yes, is understanding company relevant interested parties needs will help the company to plan accordingly on how to meet them. So first, you know yourself. What are your capabilities? What can you do? Next, who are my interested parties? What are their needs? And interested parties, remember in the awareness, there are various people, kind of groups of people. What are their needs? Before you go on, how can I meet those needs? Can we just try to point out or to bring out some of these groups of interested parties we talked about? Like in IAA, who are some of the one of interested parties or the main interested parties in our organization?
You have shareholders.
True, they are shareholders and they have their needs and expectation. Yes.
You have creditors.
Employees.
You have.
Yes.
You have creditors, policyholders, employees.
Yes, all that. Employees, policyholders, the customers, your employees, they are also interested.
Regulators.
The regulators, the ILA, KRA, and all that. Yes.
Service providers.
Yes, service providers, those who provide services to you, yeah, they're interested parties. They have their needs, they have their expectations.
The general public.
The general public, true. Yeah, the general public and the community at large. They are also interested parties. You need to do your business within certain kind of, even social ethics and all that. Okay, those are the main ones. And even consultants like me, I'm also an interested party. I have my needs and expectations. So, if you are to audit and you want to look at that requirement, has it been fulfilled? One of the main issues that you'd want to see is a list of interested parties and their needs. Has it been generated? Has it been identified in the organization? Those who perform, they are the world-class organization. They'll do it as an organization. Then in their own processes, they go and look at who are my interested parties, what are their needs and expectations. But the standard does not require you to go that deep. In here, we are looking at the overall interested parties. But nothing should stop you in your own process. Who are my interested parties? What are their needs and expectations? How do I meet them? But that is something that you'd want to see. If you are auditing an organization, they don't have such kind of a thing. They don't have a list of the interested parties. They have not listed them. There could be an issue. Unless they give you another evidence which will support it. But mainly what we have or what we see in many organizations is that they have that list of interested parties. Then 4.3, you need to determine the scope of quality management systems. So in here, you are building your quality management system. So you need to define the scope, the boundaries, the rationalities, boundaries within which the QMS will apply should be understood on the onset. Any exclusion to be explained. So what is the purpose for that? The scope is very important. It shows you where your quality management systems covers. This will help even the external auditor. When they come, they know that they are not auditing maybe Mombasa, they are just auditing Nairobi. So it confines you to what you have covered in your quality management system. It's spreading from where, from which point to which point. So it's very important. Any exclusions. Now, when we come to exclusions, it takes us back to the ISO standards. We talked about 10 topics. There is allowance where you can exclude some of those requirements, but you have to justify why, if they are not applicable to your organization. If they are not applicable to your organization, you can exclude. In fact, we were discussing with Dennis the other time. He was filling a form for the external auditors who are to come. And that is one of the questions they had asked. They wanted to know the scope of the QMS so that as they set their audit plan, they know where they are going, how many processes, support, and all that. And they also asked, have you excluded any of those requirements? If the requirements does not apply, when you read the ISO 9000, if there are any, but you have to be very careful. In most cases, all of them apply. But there are some isolated cases, you might find that they don't apply. For example, in the ISO 9000, there is a requirement to do with the design and development. If you are designing the products that you are selling and developing them, no, it could be that somebody else designs for you. Yours is just maybe to sell and to do the order. For example, a Coca-Cola plant, a local Coca-Cola plant don't involve themselves in design and development of the soda they sell. Everything is done at Atlanta. They are given formulation, mix A, B, C, D. What comes out is a Coca-Cola or a Fanta. But they are not involved, even they don't know what A contains or B contains. So it's done elsewhere. So for them, it will be very easy for them to exclude that design and development, and they will say it is done by the parent company out there. But in most of other organizations, you find that you do design of what the product you are selling. If you want to come up with a new product, specifically for ladies, you want to sell a certain insurance product, you are the one who go out to the market, get the market needs, sit down, draw what are the specifications for this product, then you sell. So you cannot claim that design and development does not apply. So if you are auditing that section, what you would want to see, and even what the external auditor will want to see, is stating of the QMS scope, e.g. in a quality manual. Remember, a quality manual is not a mandatory document, but it's an important document that is done describing our quality management systems and how we have complied with ISO 9001. And we have already done it. Dennis have it. Maybe later on he'll also circulate that document. He was to finalize on the numbering and all that. But within there, you'll check and see the QMS has been, the scope has been defined. Now, another requirement is identification of quality management systems and its processes. So within the IAA, we need to identify our houses or the rooms that are there in the IAA. I mean, even our processes, times people talk about departments. Remember, we did that. Because what is the rationale? The relevant processes that will be engaged to deliver the needs of relevant interested parties must be known and well managed. So what you'd want to see is process identification, something that we have already done. Their inputs, their output, receiver outputs. So if you're looking for evidence, you'd want to see what are the processes that are there, the core support processes, and their description. What we have done for every SOP manual, we have the process identification in compliance to 4.4. So doing number 4.4, 4 and 5 times it looks a bit abstract because it is at the very top. That is in the formation of the company or building the structure of the company. In most cases, you get this information either from the QMS coordinator, now our project manager, or the top. Maybe you not go asking for QMS scope in a HR process or IT process. What is your QMS scope? The QMS scope is for the whole organization. They will be audited, but maybe as you audit the top management or the project manager. But they are necessary. They should be audited in internal audit. They will also be audited in external audit. So that is number 4. The requirement is just know yourself, your capability, who you are, who you serve, your mission, your interested parties, your scope, your processes. So please you understand who IAA are or what it's all about the organization. Number 5 is about leadership. Leadership, you need to, there are requirements of leadership commitment. They have to show and demonstrate. Why? Because without adequate leadership and commitment, the QMS is bound to fail. If the management or the top leadership or top management here are not committed, they don't avail the resources, they are not giving us a good examples, it cannot work. If the top is not in support, any project, leave alone even the ISO 9000. You come up with a project, you come up with something that you want to introduce in the company, a new maybe IT system or whatever, and the top are not committed, it may fail because they want to provide resources and all that. So useful evidence to know whether the management are committed or not. Top management provision of strategic, if a strategic plan is there, resources and budgets, at least it shows, these people are committed to the system. Attendance of QMS meeting, yes, are they attending? Are they part of the team? Especially there is a meeting we'll do after we do our internal audits called management review meetings. That meeting has to have the top people involved. Are they being kept updated with QMS performance? Yeah, you can ask, how are they updated? Do they know what is going on? Do they follow up on audit outcomes? Do they give their feedback? That's the same way when we do the financial audits, those reports reach the top and they discuss and move on. We expect even the QMS audits, they'll go to that level. They will be discussed at the very top. So they not just see it like anything else. And that's why we need to build value-adding auditors. Your reports will go to the topmost people of the organization. So you have to take it serious. You have to do it well, so that if you bring up an unconformity, they don't have us to question, hey, really, is this nonconformity there or not? Can we act on this or not? They know you are a good resource and they act on the issues that you have provided. There is also a requirement to do with quality policy. Quality policy statement. So why do you need it? It's a formal statement on direction the organization intends to take. It's necessary to direct the organization. So in the leadership, they need to come up with this policy statement. What is their commitment toward quality? At times it's a one page, but they describe how they would want to be committed to quality management system, to be customer focused, those kind of issues. And even mission statements goes in here, vision, values. That is still the starting point at leadership level. They define this is our policy in regards to quality. We will not compromise. We'll strive to offer the best. And the statement has already been done. It is even in the quality manual. You'll have to look at it. And if it is missing, then that is an issue. If people don't understand, it's also another issue. So useful audit evidence, documented quality policy statement, is it there? But it can be there, but not understood. Is it understood by the employees? And in understanding, we don't mean that they cram. I mean, what do you say? They have to say it word by word, but they need to know the general statement or the intention of the company. Maybe to be customer focused, to offer quality services at all times. So this will be audited. As you audit even the processes, you need to know, do they understand, do they know what the quality policy of IAA is all about? I think that is one thing you'll find in our checklist. Organizational roles, responsibility, and authorities, they have to be well defined. The rationale for that is a requirement. Responsibility and authorities. So they have to be defined by the top management. That is a leadership part of job to do as we implement the system. So yeah, why? Because well-defined and communicated roles and responsibilities enable the staff to understand what is, and there's some missing information down there. I think when it was done in PDF, some of the things were lost. Or can this slide move up and down? I don't think. There's some information down there, but we'll send you even the PowerPoint presentation. You'll be able to see what is inside there. But basically, we need to have it, we need the responsibility communicated. And the useful evidence there is like an organization chart. You know where you are in the organization. And job description. Those are the main ways that people you do to comply with this. You know your job description, you know who you report to, you know your authorities, you know your responsibility. Remember the standard just ask the normal things, not it's a issues even without the ISO standard, some of these things you already have them. It's just a matter of streamlining. So leadership requirements, and those are the kind of things that you need to look at. So are we together? 4 and 5. We want to go to 6. I don't know whether I'm so fast. But remember, this is just a recap of the requirements, but we want to look at it in the context of internal audits. Planning, there is a requirement to do with planning. A well-managed organization must demonstrate how well they plan for their business. So in planning, the first requirement 6.1 is actions to address risks and opportunities. So for you to plan how to to address these risks, you must first identify them. Because the rationale here is achievement of organization goals is dependent on how well the organization risks have been identified, managed, controlled, and mitigated, and taking advantages of the opportunities to maximize them. So that's a starting point. We need to an organization where they have understood their risks and put in place mitigation measures. Sorry, it's not how it can be applied. It's useful evidence at the top. You can change that. There is a problem there. It's useful evidence. So what you'd want to see maybe through the SWOT analysis. The SWOT will contain the strengths, weakness, opportunity, and threat and risk. So if they have that document, risk analysis maybe have been identified there. Establish risk registers for each process, which we have done. So it's a demonstration that it has been done. Then demonstration of effectiveness of action taken to address risk. So they can demonstrate how their actions are effective, how their actions are effective in addressing the identified risks. So you can be able to ask about that. Yeah, we don't want a situation where the risks have been identified, the pests, but still the files are being damaged. Or the risk has been identified that you need, when you are recruiting a new employee, you need to have the whatever document they give from the CID, the good conduct, it is there, but still we are having some people who are not doing work properly. They are stealing, they are doing all kinds of things. So how come? Is this risk really effective in preventing what we were anticipating to prevent? In planning, it also talks about having quality objectives and planning how to achieve them. Because rationale, without set objectives, targets, any destination will do. Because you don't have a set target. So for you is to start January, December. So December, it doesn't matter where you are because you had not even planned where to be. But we need a well-organized organization. We need to have set targets, and they are there. That document, I think, has already been sent to you by Dennis, where we want to know each process targets. And it has to be smart. Smart targets are necessary, but should be accompanied by program on how to achieve them. So the targets have to be there and a program on how to achieve them. I looked at your strategic plan. Yeah, it has attempted or it has provided the program on how to achieve those targets, which is good. We can go even by that, but you need to be able to assess it and also read, because if you are asked when it comes to audit, what is your program? You state that, yeah, it is in the strategic plan. Where is the strategic plan? I have never seen it. No, that one doesn't go on well. You should have it there. Yeah, this is a program. For us to achieve this, these are the strategy that we are going to apply, the various actions and all that. So the useful evidence, audit evidence is that company overall goals and objectives. Yeah, if you are auditing that, you'd want to see what are your goals and objectives. Within the process, you want to see what is the process, objectives, and targets. And that's why we are coming up with that document. Individual KPIs, also KRAs incorporated in job description, can also act as an evidence because KPIs may set the individual targets. Programs on how to achieve the set targets, you want to see it. It's an evidence because it's a requirement there. Monitoring of set targets. Now you have the set targets. How are you monitoring? A good set targets achievement, graphical trends. If you can show graphical trend, this month I performed like this, then you'll have fulfilled that requirement. So those are the useful audit evidence. There is also 6.3, planning of changes. Still on planning. Changes have to be planned. If we are moving offices, I don't know how that plan has been done so that it does not, rationale here, and plan changes could negatively affect the business or QMS. There are some changes we do without realizing the negative effects it can have. So the standard asks you to first analyze and see, yeah, this is the best route to take. We can do the change. Because most issues get bad when it comes to some abrupt changes without having good consideration. So how can we use for evidence demonstration of how major changes, if any, in the organization have been controlled, e.g. discussed in meetings and all impacts considered before implementation. So that is a requirement. Whenever you're doing a major change, IT is being, you're bringing in new issues. Has it been well looked at? You're moving offices, you're closing a branch, you're opening a branch, those kind of things. So basically, those are like the top levels. In the checklist, you'll find that we'll capture those requirements, and you'll be able to ask and see whether we fulfill them as an organization. Then there is a support. There is a title in the standard called support. In here, we look at the resources, competence, awareness, communication, documented information. So, Kraus title resources. There are requirements to do with the resources. Because the rationale, and in the resources, they talk about you have to, the top management or the management or the organization has to ensure that they are provided the necessary resources required for you to meet your targets. The rationale for that is because adequacy of human resource, people, financial resources, infrastructure, conducive work environment, measuring equipment where applicable, organizational knowledge will cause smooth running of operations. If the resources are not there, the financial, you have been given a target, you have your set goals, but there is no money to do that. There is no infrastructure, or the infrastructure is not conducive. Measuring equipment, maybe for IAA, not much, but if it is production, they want also, if you are told that this product has to meet these specifications, you have to be given the measuring equipment. Even organizational knowledge is a resource. Do we have the knowledge to deliver to our customers? So if we are auditing useful audit evidence, it's maybe a budget. How do they have a budget? And the existing infrastructure. You can look at the infrastructure and see, maybe this one is, maybe the room is so congested, even there is nowhere for customers to sit when they come. You need some computers here, they are not there, but you're being told to key in the information. So those are missing gaps. There are issues there. So you want to see there's maybe a budget or the infrastructure, as you can see it, as you can observe, it is conducive for the kind of business that we are doing. Competence requirements is there in 7.2. Why? Because desired results will be obtained when competent education, experience, skills, training employees are engaged to perform tasks. So we need to ensure that the people we are engaging in whatever levels of our organization, they are competent to do that work. Otherwise, you can fill a vacant with somebody who is not competent, and they will not deliver. And that will affect the quality of the service. So it's very important to know that whoever is there is competent. And in here, we are not asking you to go and sack anybody. If there is any gaps in competence, you can always train, you can do mentorship, you can build that person, or you can even change that person from one position to the other. Maybe there is somewhere they can where they fit well. That is the main purpose. So useful audit evidence is job specifications. Are they being provided for underwriting manager? Maybe what are the job description for business development, for all this? And what is a competence matrix? Competence matrix is where we now explain what is a minimum educational level, minimum experience, minimum skills, training. Some of these things you'll find them in the HR process. Personnel files. Can we see the certificates of this person to show that they have been trained and all that they are competent for the job? It is important. We need to have people who are competent. If they are not, no problem. We are not punishing you, but let's see the program in closing that gap of competence. Awareness, remember, it's another requirement. People have to have the appropriate, the rationale is appropriate knowledge needs to be communicated and understood for effective and efficient implementation of process. People need to be aware of the quality management systems, requirements, of even the product they are dealing with, about the organization, and so many things. So useful audit evidence, training done, the training that have been done, like now, we are creating awareness about how to audit. So the evidence will be the training done, training effectiveness, determination, and follow-up. So it's very important to not just to do a training, but you need to go further and see whether the training was effective. One way is like that short exams we want to give you. The other way will be to see the quality of the reports that you're going to generate. Even for the other training, if you send your staff for customer service, maybe training, you need to go ahead and check the effectiveness. Are they now performing better than before? When it comes to training, those things have to go together. And it's a requirement for checking the effectiveness. And that's why we are even giving this exam. Communication, internal and external, a requirement that effective communication has to be maintained internally and also externally. Why? Rationale? Because ineffective communication will cause undesired results. We agree with that. And the rationale part of this slide, it's trying to help you appreciate why the requirements has to be there. If there is ineffective communication, maybe I'm out there, I'm trying to call IAA, the phone is not even going through, the numbers have changed, and yet in the website, they still remain with the old numbers. The email has changed. All those things will affect the quality of our services. And just to remind you, how did we define quality in the beginning? Quality is meeting customers' requirements, customers' needs. If you meet customer requirements, then you are provided a quality service or a product. If not, you will not have provided a quality product. Me as a customer, I would want, if I call, the call will go through, somebody will pick, maybe in the third ring, and I'll be heard the other side. But if I call the numbers that have been given and they are not going through, then you're not providing quality service. If I'm calling and nobody is speaking, or anytime I call, that thing, whatever the telephone is automated, it takes me to the what, it tells me a lot of stories which I was not looking for. So we need to create effective communication. So as you audit, you want to see what are the existing communication channels, are they effective, are they working? Then there is a requirement to do with the documented information. How are they controlled? As we establish this quality management system, and you can agree with me, there are so many documents that we are coming up with. How do we control them? Documentation is necessary for communication and preservation of knowledge, but must be controlled and well managed. Like, for instance, when we, and maybe in a few weeks' time, all the documents that we have come up with, the quality manual, SOP for every processes, will be shared. Maybe Dennis will come up with a shared folder. The documents will be put there, but how will they be controlled to ensure that if there is any change, it is done in a controlled manner. It's not anyone with a computer, even at home there, just trying to change that document and adding another step that was not there. Or if a change is done in the right way, how do we distinguish the old document with the new document? So the evidence will be document numbering and control of version. So every document will have a number, the version status in case it changes, it goes to the next version status, and we'll have it managed such that the old one is removed or withdrawn to avoid confusion of using a superseded document. Because if you have updated a document, you need to use the most updated document. So as you audit, when you go out there, you look at the documents you're being shown, try to see, are they well controlled? Do they have numbers? Do they have control version? Is it controlled in a manner that not anyone can change? Records, are they well preserved? And those kind of issues. Now I've talked a lot. You people can see you can share a lot. Now, hey, don't know whether I'll face a problem here. Now there is this exercise that we want to do. So there is a clause 8.24. I think I've already typed it somewhere, so I'll put it on the screen. I want you to read through it. It's just extracted from the standards. Now that you don't have standard with you, the ISO 9000 standard, but it has been typed the way it is. Just as we have been doing here, you look at what is a clause title, or the clause title, the requirement, as stated in the standard. So you tell me, what is that title or about? Rationale, why do you think, you as an auditor, why do you think it's necessary? Because if you are not convinced that that requirement should be there, then it will become very hard for you even to audit. So you need first to be convinced. Yeah, you need first to understand and be convinced, why do we need this? Then you look for evidence. Are they complying with this? So look at, and you give me what are the useful audit evidence that you'd want to see in order for you to say maybe it's conforming, it's okay, or it's not conforming. Can you see? Okay, thank you. 8.24, which is an extract from the ISO standard. So there is a title, changes to requirements for product and services. Okay, there's some section I can't see here. So the organization shall ensure that relevant documented, so all that. So read it through, that's a requirement. It's just from the ISO 9000 standards. You need to give a rationale. Why do you think it's necessary? The requirement has already been provided there. And if you are to audit a process and you want to see or to determine whether they have complied to that requirement, what are some of the useful audit evidence that you'll want to see? So that is the exercise. Take some time, 5 minutes, look at it, then we'll start sharing. So we want to do the exercise. We share it with you. So have you looked at you have gone through, I believe you have read the standards 8.24. Remember you have to audit all the requirements that are there, but this is one of it. So let's start getting feedback on what the requirement is all about.
Samuel,
Yes.
I don't know. Are you guys able to hear?
Yes. You can hear.
Okay. I don't know. Does someone want to go first, or do I go first?
Tangulia.
Hopefully sitajitega. So what I think that particular clause is about,
Yes.
I think for every product and service, for an organization to be able to deliver quality to a customer, it needs to understand the customer's requirements for a particular product or service. So let me give an example. Let's say one of the interested parties is the taxman for IAA. So one of the products which you usually deliver to the taxman is tax returns. So there's been a recent change in requirements in terms of VAT for in terms of VAT, so which didn't exist previously. So that being a new requirement, it is important that the documents are updated with that new requirement, and then the relevant parties must be updated to ensure that the organization continues to deliver products and services which meet the requirements.
Good.
So
Well,
I think that's the rationale.
that is very good. Very good. Anybody else? That is very good. And for giving us that is very relevant. Anybody?
I would look at it differently.
Okay.
Yes, every organization is producing either a product or a service.
Yes.
These services should be clearly described so that the client or the buyer knows what he or she is buying. If there are any changes to these products or services, this should be clearly communicated so that those who are in marketing do not continue selling a product that is not in existence.
Good.
That ceased to yes.
Very good. That's also good. Any other before we go to the useful audit evidence? Think also of policy documents. It has been done, then amendment has been done by the relevant persons. Maybe even the policy auditor is not aware.
Someone.
Yes, please.
There's a request for you to display the clause again, even as we continue discussion.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Can see it now.
Thank you.
Thank you. So the discussion is moving on very well. There is very good understanding of what it's all about and how it applies to us. Remember, the standards is very generic. So it will not give you, it will not talk about the policy document, it will not talk about the VAT, it will not talk about any of the marketing, but it's for you now to see to yourself, how does it apply to what you do? Because the standard cannot be applied everywhere. Even in a church, there are churches who are ISO 9001 certified. So they have their own type of product services. But I can see how you are doing it very well to relate it to what you do. So I think we have gotten the requirements and good examples. Can we go to useful audit? So you are going to underwriting. Let's say you are going to audit underwriting. And you want to see whether they're in compliance with this. requirements. So, in fact, what questions can you ask and what would you expect to see? Because you want to know, do they really comply with this? Or even a claim, let's talk of underwriting, or even claim, or any other process that you can come up with. What would you want, what would you ask, and what evidence would you be expecting? You know, as you go to audit, you should also be, you have as you ask, there is an answer you expect to get. Or what will you see to make you feel that, okay, it's conforming, it's okay, can move to the next question? What are those things that you would want to see?
Okay, so for underwriters, I think the key things that underwriters need to check when they are doing any onboarding process are the KYCs.
Okay.
By that I mean,
No, you are whatever.
Yes. Has the customer filled the proposal form? And is it signed after they fill that proposal form? Have they attached relevant documentation?
Good. Yeah.
That is, in case of a motor, the logbook, the PIN, and any other documentation that is required. So I think for me that would be one of the requirements that we strictly need to look at, or ideally look at, when we are onboarding any customer.
Well, you have said it well, but now let's look at, yes, you are looking at whether they have followed the procedure, how it should be done.
Yes.
But
Yes.
in here, you also want to look at issues to do with amendments that maybe could have happened and the relevant person being made aware. How are you going to go about it? What kind of an amendment can happen as you do that process, as you fill those forms?
So, okay, amendments. Okay, anyone else can go as I structure that answer.
Yes, and let's stick to what Mtedia said on that onboarding. What, as they fill those proposal forms and all that, what kind of amendments could arise? And who are the relevant people who need to be aware? And how can we confirm that that has been done or not done? Waiting. Yeah, kuna shida yote?
No, we can hear you.
Okay. So Muteja, can you repeat your how you stated it? It's onboarding who? What will be happening? Then we look at what possible amendments could be there and the relevant persons.
Okay, so let me just restructure it. Say we are onboarding a customer for the first time.
Yes.
Assuming they filled the proposal form,
yes.
They've submitted all the KYCs that we require, but then on the logbook, they don't have insurable interest.
Okay.
By that I mean the logbook is not under their name. So at some point they go to, say, NTSA and change that logbook into their names. Or rather they sell the car, or they... So what happens is we require to pass an endorsement on that particular policy. Okay. And how that communication is done is through that particular endorsement, noting the changes, clearly stating that the vehicle has either been changed from registration number so and so, or vehicle is now transferred from person so and so to person so and so.
Good. Then that information has to go to who or who else in the whole scenario should also be made aware.
Okay, so basically that information goes to both internally shared within the underwriters, and of course coming from an external body. This is NTSA, flowing downwards to underwriters and anyone else within the organization.
Anyone else, like claims, even they need?
Yes, claims whenever they need to. Probably there's a claim which has arisen, and they also need to ascertain that that particular insured has interest within the vehicle.
Okay, that's good. So as an auditor,
we have cases. Because we have cases where I think Anne can attest to this, that they require the insured to change the vehicle logbook into their name for transfer or something.
Okay.
Whenever there is a case of write-off or something.
Yes.
Yes.
Good. So as you audit,
yes, I confirm.
Oh yeah, Anne, you attest to that. You'd want to see
I confirm.
either by email or whatever way to know that every relevant persons were made aware. So Anne, you have confirmed? You attested to that?
Yes, I have.
Okay. So I think that is well understood, and I think we have done it well. So any other requirement in that standard, that's how you go about it. You read it, you understand why it's there, what is the rationale. Then you ask yourself, what do I want to see for them to claim that they have complied with that requirement? The useful audit evidence. And you are at home. It's as simple as that. So I think we can move on with the rest of the slides. Let's go back. Yes, please.
Sorry. So for that particular clause,
yes,
maybe it wasn't very clear to me. So what's the useful audit evidence, if you could summarize it?
Oh, audit evidence. Now,
in this particular case.
Okay. So for that scenario that we are given by Mteidia, the communication, let's start with the communication part of it. You see, the organization shall ensure that the documentation is amended and that relevant persons are made aware of the changed requirements. So the relevant persons, we have related claims and others, you need to see maybe the communication that was done, maybe by email or by a memo. So relevant persons made aware. Then the amendment, the one shall ensure that relevant documentation is amended to ensure that relevant document is amended and the relevant persons are made aware. So he gave us an example where the logbook was not in the policy holder's name. So it went to NTCA, it was changed. So the amendment was done. And that has communicated, and that is a communication you are doing now to claims and other interested parties within the organization or even outside. Okay. So we are able to see that the amendment, once amendment has been done, the relevant persons are made aware. Just like you about the VAT, it has been amended by one of the interested party. Now, have the relevant person been made aware? Maybe the ones in finance, or the ones, even those who are giving prices, do they know now how to do it?
So now, there on that particular clause, there will be evidence for one, amendments, and evidence of making relevant persons aware.
Yes.
Okay.
Is any change of a product or a service. Okay, that's well done. I'm happy the way you're handling these exercises. Very nice. Let's move ahead. So I'll do the rest of requirements. The same way you have done it. Just one side we are looking at what it says, the rationale, the useful audit evidence. So 8.1, operational planning and control. So that is, there is a requirement, a general requirement to do with operations. And the operations here is what you do. That mission, how to fulfill that product, offering of that product that you're doing, operations, not just operation department that we have here. It is where you get customer requirements, you change them to what the customer require, and you give to the customer. You get a need that I want my cars insured. You start your process, what you do, what documents, KYC that you will have. You prepare a policy document to the very end. That is the operation we are talking about. So the planning and control is a requirement, because failure to plan is planning to fail. We usually say that. Useful audit evidence, like planning meetings for this order or for these requests. How was it planned? How maybe they were planning meetings on how to do it. Established work plans on how to accomplish the project or the work ahead of you. So we just want to see the planning part of it. Within those processes, are there evidence of planning? It could be a meeting, could be, but planning that's where you start. Remember, in our awareness training, we used to mention about that. Even in our documentation of processes, planning is usually the first activity that needs to be done. So we want to know what kind of planning do you do in this process. Determination of requirements for products and services. Yeah, then in there, the next thing is to determine requirements. How are the requirements determined? Because inaccurate determination of product service requirements will eventually lead to rejection. Especially like that example we were given there, where you want to engage this person for the first time. Determination, how are they determined, and how do you ensure that they are accurate? Is it through email? Is it through telephone? How do we capture all those requirements? Remember, garbage in, garbage out. That is what Nicholas IT people say. So we have to bring in the right requirements and expectation. So in there is audit evidence. It depends, but it could be specified product service requirements specification. So the person has specified, yeah, I want insurance on this and that. And their inquiries. If we were to provide maybe some work for an organization, maybe they give us an LPO or a work order. If we are ensuring all their maybe staff. So that requirement is very important as a starting point on how you will provide the requirement. So in there you want to see how are the requirements captured. Maybe there is that proposal form. It is meant to capture all the information. So you can look at one or two forms there and see, have it been accurately determined? Have it been fully filled? Most cases you'll see the proposal form designed very well to capture all this information, the KYC and whatever. But when you peruse them, you'll find that there are some missing information, very many missing information that were not added, and there are no reasons provided there why they were not added. So we might be filling in as we determine the products, determining the products and the services. Design and development, which we talked about, if we are designing any product or we are coming up with, we are adding more of our products from the existing ones. The standard has provided the stages that you need to go through. Because the rationale is new product service may fail in the market if development stages are not well controlled and managed. And we don't want that. You come up with a product, we start selling it, just to realize that maybe some of even the regulatory requirements were not incorporated in the product. Then the regulatory bodies start accusing us of offering something which has not passed through them or through the necessary stages. So it's very important. We are very careful. Whatever we are giving out meets the requirements. So there are various stages of involving the stakeholders, of reviewing changes, of validating, verifying that whatever is in the product will meet the requirement in the market. That's the same way you've come across Toyota recalling their vehicles because maybe there was an issue with the design. They designed a new model, but the brakes are failing or some other mechanism are not working, and they have to recall from the market. For service industry, at times it's not really straightforward like that, but we also have those kind of things where you are provided something, but you are realizing later on, oh, there is something that was not incorporated or there is something that was not done properly. So design and development is a very critical stage. Useful audit evidence, design planning. So if there are those in business development or marketing, can they show you how they planned for that new product? Then the record associated with reviews, changes, if there were any changes, how are they communicated to relevant people? Did they do any trials? If it is possible to do them in service, maybe I don't know how they do it, but if it was in production, usually they do some trials, they do some tests to make sure that whatever they are giving out meets the requirement. Still in the operation, and this will go now to where they are buying product or services from outside, administration or wherever, control of externally provided products is a requirement. You have to control who you are engaging externally to provide or to be part of what you provide. Why? Because incompetent external providers can mess the business if engaged. Regular evaluation is necessary to ensure that the providers continue to maintain high standards. So if you engage an incompetent garage, that vehicle is taken there and then it takes forever. Like in that drama, I don't know, they were communicating something like that. Until now, the customer comes complaining, I mean, I'm tired of this. Because maybe the garage, they are not competent enough. They are not able to meet their deadlines. So again, it's a requirement down there, 8.44 sub-clauses will tell you to evaluate those service providers. So useful audit evidence, maybe you're auditing claims and you want to see the people they have engaged externally. You want to see approved external providers list. So they should come up with that list, or they'll have pre-qualified people who are to provide certain services. Selection or application criteria should be there. And for an ISO certified company, quality should be one of them. Quality services. Do they provide quality services? Or aspects to do with quality, not just money, how much do they charge, but also we want to see quality. Evaluation records. They need to keep on evaluating these people at a defined intervals. I think in the quality manual you have stated at least once in a year. You need to see those evaluation records. Those are audit evidence. That's to do with procurement, mainly procurement. Production and service provision. Production is what we do. The still our operations now, let's say like underwriting. That's production. Production and service provision must be done under control conditions to realize the desired results. And the controlled conditions normally are there are standards, procedures, there are guidelines on how to follow as you do that. So that in audit evidence, you are looking at standard operating procedures, are they there? Compliance inspection records where applicable. If there are people even from outside who have been coming, let's say like the IRA, and they are doing inspection, yes, those records to show that they are within, they are doing the business, whatever is being done here, it's under controlled conditions. Release of products and services. Before you release the product or service, you have to ensure that it meets all the requirements. The rationale release of non-conforming products will lead to customer complaints and other damages. That's need to verify before release. Audit evidence could be verification records before release or signature or approval. Before you issue out that policy document to the policy holder, I mean, has it been verified? Don't want a situation where you have issued it, then later on, you are asking the policy holder to return it because there was one or two things missing. So verification, before that final release, what verification are? Like even the example we were talking about, before the files are released, what are the verification? Maybe there is a signature required, there is an approval which is required. Control of non-conforming process outputs, product and services, there is that requirement. Non-conforming process outputs could be undesired outputs or undesired results. The rationale for this is non-conforming products or these undesired results or desired service must be prevented from reaching to the customer and internally controlled to prevent them mixing up with the good ones. So as we do our work, we are not perfect, 100% perfect. Sometimes you do a certain job, let's say it's an LPO that you are doing, but it was not done properly. So if we have a check, we realize, then the next thing is to prevent it from proceeding. Maybe it goes with the other good LPOs. We need to stop it. So some of the audit evidence, first you'll ask what are some of the non-conforming outputs that you can have in this process. They tell you. Then what are the procedures, standard operating procedures, which describes how they deal with such segregation of non-conforming and conforming products you'd want to see. Another example could be in the procurement. They are buying goods, but they realize that one of what they have bought is substandard or it does not meet requirements. So how do they segregate it? If they were printing papers, maybe there are substandards which have come. You need to segregate and make sure it does not mix up with the good ones. Then you have to explain how do you deal with this. Do you call the supplier to come and replace with the good ones? Or do you downgrade and use it for other purposes, depending on your procedures? There is a number 9, performance evaluation. It's a requirement. So every process of the organization as a whole, performance has to be evaluated. 9.1 is monitoring, measurement, analysis, and evaluation. Why? Because you cannot manage what you do not measure. You have your salary, you need to keep on measuring how much is remaining so that you can be able to manage it. But if you are not measuring, even you not be able to manage. For your processes, we have targets. So you need to know when you are going down, when you are going up. Use for audit evidence, monitoring records, graphical trends of performance. And you don't have to know a lot of statistics to do that. We have even Excel you can use. But those graphical things, graphical representation talks a lot to support these requirements. Customer feedback analysis, how it is analyzed, and how are we performing. So those are the kind of things that you want to see. Internal audit, now that is where internal audit comes in, and that is what we are doing now to build the capacity for that. It is one of the tools to evaluate our performance. Why? Because QMS need to undergo regular auditing to confirm its effectiveness and compliance. We don't just implement QMS and forget and go home. We need to keep on evaluating to see are we still complying to what we have stated, and are we effective? Are we improving? So if you are to audit such a kind of a requirement in an organization, first you want to see they are trained internal auditors, competent people to do it. Like for those who are in attendance, yes, you be given even certificates. Internal audits reports that have been generated, you look at them to confirm that audits have been done. Closure of non-conformity. Once an audit has been done, there is a need to investigate and to close it out. So you want to see how it has been done, follow up to check effectiveness of actions taken. So once the issues have been closed up, maybe an action has been taken, you can go further and see, was it effective? Did it stop? Now, those kind of, did it stop recurrence of that issue or that complaint? So those are the things that you want to see to know whether an organization has internalized and has implemented that requirement of internal audit. There is another requirement of management review, still part of evaluating the organization. It is in 9.3, and it has highlighted the agendas, the inputs that needs to be in that meeting, and even the outputs. Why do we need it? A formal management review is important to ensure adequacy of QMS, highlight gaps, opportunities for improvement, and taking of necessary action. A very important meeting where the management, including the top, and remember at one time we talked about the leadership commitment, that the top should be also involved. They take time to review the system. Is it working for them? Are there areas of improvement? Are there opportunities we are missing out? A very important meeting. When you're auditing to see whether this meeting has happened, one thing you may want to check is management review meeting minutes that cover all the stated agenda. So normally this is kept by the quality management coordinator, the project manager. So you want to be shown the minutes. Then you look at the minutes and see whether they have covered the necessary inputs and outputs that are mentioned in the standard. There is an action plan that needs to be done. So you look at the action plan, has it been complied with? And the follow-up, you look at where are we in relation to the action plan that has been made. So that is to do with the evaluation. Then the last one is to do with improvement. A world-class organization like us who are going for ISO 9000, we need to show continual improvement. You need to show. If we are not improving, we are just stagnant at one place, we are missing out and we are not complying with this standard. So we improve normally by non-conformity and corrective actions. As we do the audit, we come up with we'll be coming up with non-conformity and corrective action to address any non-conformity to prevent recurrence of those non-conformities. So addressing non-conformity, that's the rationale, adequate resource to improvement of the system. Yeah, that's why I usually say non-conformities are not bad. If you are told, yeah, here there is an issue, in here you are not doing the approval as it's supposed to be done, No problem. Once you rectify it, it improves that system. And for you to do those kind of improvement, you need a root cause analysis. It's necessary to address the cause and not the symptoms. So there is the issue of addressing non-conformity adequately. And for you to do that, you need to dig deeper and see what caused this non-conformity. Then you put in good preventive measures. Useful audit evidence is to know whether the issues that were raised have been crossed out, have been addressed. Is the root cause analysis culture entrenched in the company? Because it's bad just to be addressing symptoms. You need to dig deeper. Then monitoring records, graphical trend of performance improvement can be a very good thing to show the improvement that has been done over the years or over time. Yes, 10.3, continue improvement. And remember, this is not continuous. Continue is step by step. Continuous is an ideal situation where you're just moving up. The standard requires you to do step by step improvement. Yeah, you move from 1 billion to 2 billion, 3 billion, slowly by slowly, provided you are showing some improvement. It's not 1 billion to 10 or at once. Yes, the rational step-by-step improvement is the ideal way to grow the business. So what you'd want to see, and some of these representation are even in the strategic plan, you see monitoring records, how our sales have been going up, our premiums, and those kind of things. By an organization or a process complying with all those requirements, then you'll be in a position to state that it is complying with ISO 9000. Otherwise, you state that it has complied in some requirements and not in others. So that is all to do with the overview of ISO 9001 requirement. I know it's a bit fast, but because we had done awareness,